Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Last week, it was Aaron Johnson's world. We were all just living in it. The Porsche Carrera Cup North America race winner proved that he's one of the best of the 992 platform, taking a dominant overall win at Road America. Even though the overall lead was a blowout, it still led for fantastic racing with Joseph Holman, Ted Burns, and Ryan Marine taking class wins. This week, it's the Stars in Cars, the Kellymoss KLÜB iRacing Championship, heading off to Road Atlanta for the second round of the inaugural championship, live and in color on the Kellymoss YouTube channel. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're watching this broadcast. My name is Jeremy Scott. Tristan Herbst is alongside, and Jim Cunningham is back in the truck, giving you the pictures and noises live and in Memorex. Tristan, we saw a banger last week at the National Park of Speed. This time we go to another home of endurance racing, and it's the place that Pano's revitalized, Road Atlanta.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to the racing here at Road Atlanta. I've seen quite a lot of multi-class racing at this track, and so it's going to be interesting just seeing the solo 992s going around here at Kellymoss KLÜB Championship. But definitely looking forward to today's racing. From what we saw last week, we definitely know the standards that have been set here for this championship. Obviously, like we mentioned, Johnson completely running away with last week's race, and we were merely just spectators of his masterpiece. But we'll have to see what happens this week. We've got a couple of new drivers who will be joining us on the grid, and so they may pose us a slight threat. We'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah, let's take a look at the points here real quick before we get into the heat of the qualifying battle. We'll show you those new drivers that we have. Of course, there's your overall points, I should say. Ted Burns leading by 1 point over Johnson and Holman, with Ryan Marine and Anthony Castillo rounding out your top five. Now, we're more worried about the class points here. We figured to give you kind of a little taste of what's going on here. In the pro class, you see that Aaron Johnson has that 7-point advantage over Blake McGovern, Caden Kelly, and Griff Asplund. Tristan, it's about as tight also in some of the other classes.
Yeah, definitely. We've also got the team class, which is what Ted Burns is currently leading about 8 points ahead of Lem Cole, and then Donnie Leonard just a bit further behind in third. And then you can still see stacking on behind is fourth down to seventh, and it's still relatively close between most of the drivers. When you look at, for example, Nathan Warder to Cameron Cool, only 1 point of a difference. Then we also have the other divisions still racing over here. Here we have the club division, and only two drivers in here for now. That's Joseph Holman and Anthony Castillo, and currently Joseph Holman leading that division with 27 points and 2 bonus points from last round's racing at Road America. So we'll have to see what they can do this week at Road Atlanta. And then we've obviously got our VIPs of Peter McKay and Ryan Marine. And we saw these two fighting quite a lot last week, but at the end, Ryan Marine did come out on top with a 5-point lead over Peter McKay.
On the docket for Mackay and Marine are bragging rights this weekend, as both of them will have a hand to play with the Roar broadcast for IMSA Radio. There's your fastest qualifier. Raise your hand if you're surprised that Aaron Johnson once again on the top overall and in the pro class with an 18.265, as some other pro drivers are out there with their warm-up laps and setting their first flyers. One of them is a newbie. It's the number 3 of Erica Hoffman. There's the 99 of Ryan Marine, your fastest in VIPs, and there's one of your newer drivers. It's Erica Hoffman. Hoffman comes to us from the Porsche Sprint Challenge, achieving several podiums, and she won one of the Porsche Cayman races, of course, in the pro category. She'll be moving up to the SRO GT4 America next season. So good to see that. One driver who we've not heard from, I think she is out on track. It's a 92 of Lonnie Unser. And good to see Lonnie out there. Now, I did get a chance to talk to her earlier today. Her plans are there. They're not official, but it's going to be an interesting season for the young Unser driver. She does have a race win also in the Porsche Carrera Cup. The Porsche Sprint Challenge Cayman Series in the pro class. So she's got Peter McKay on her rear wing, but good to see that Lonnie's out there. She is one fast driver, and it's been great to see her progress her way through the Porsche ladder.
Yeah, absolutely so. And she's obviously a part of that huge family tree of the popular racing family, the Unsers, which Jeremy will go into a bit more detail with you shortly. But we've got about still a while left in our qualifying session. Just about 7 minutes have ticked by, and so far it looks like a bit of a repeat. Jeremy Johnson tops it out again with a 118.2, and I mean he's currently holding quite an aggressive gap, almost 7/10 now to the likes of Holman in second position. Here we have Castillo a little bit further behind. He's obviously chasing for the championship lead in that. In his division, I believe it was the club division, and obviously with Holman up in third, who currently leads that division. Bowman now actually squeezes his way up into second, as well as Fleerman up into fifth position. So it's great to see the drivers slowly starting to find their grips, and they do also have a maximum amount of laps they can do around here in this 20-minute qualifying.
I think Johnson's going to have a run for his money. Now, I have heard that we might see one very, very fast Porsche driver enter in the race, and there's one that's sitting in pit road right now. He is a former Champ Car pole sitter himself, and he is going out on the track. Most of you know him as Speedy Dan Clark in the number 50. So that's going to be one driver to keep your eye out on. Now, here's what's interesting, too, that we did not mention last time out. These drivers have 3 drop rounds. So quite feasibly, we will have some races where the cars that you see out here won't be racing every single week. And those that do race every single week, well, they have an opportunity to drop those 3 rounds. And looking at that number 50, Tristan, that almost resembles Dan Clark's iconic helmet.
Yeah, definitely so. And it's great to see him out here. We'll have to see what he can do, because obviously, like you mentioned, he's new. Bowman's also new. And so it's great to see the new drivers who may be able to oppose as a threat. You know, I'd like to see a bit of a fight for the overall lead for this race, as we see Johnson yet again setting another lap. I mean, now he's extended it further to 6/10 to Holman with the 117.8. So I'm hoping that once Dan Clark's got a little bit of a breather into this lap, you know, he started to feel the car a bit here at Road Atlanta, that he can possibly get that Porsche 992 where it should be sitting up at the top. So we'll have to keep our eyes peeled there on Mr. Clark and see if he can compete there with Johnson up in first.
And of course, Clark will be in the VIP class, running up against the likes of Marine and Mackay. It's interesting, too, because Clark is also he's a driver coach, obviously, with Kellymoss. And it's interesting because his driver is Blake McGovern. So that's a little bit of twist there. It's the teacher going against a student. By the way, did you know the last time before Dan Clark won his pole at 2006 at Road America in the Champ Car World Series? I did not know this, actually.
That's actually
Did you know
quite,
do you know who the last
go
driver
for it.
was? Sorry.
No, I do not.
It would be one Nigel Mansell.
That is that's quite a comparison there for Dan Clark. Then I mean that's quite a figure in the motorsports world. Nigel Mansell and and Dan Clark, two names in one sentence. And yeah, I mean I think it's quite an honor to be in the same sentence as Nigel Mansell. So I mean I feel like he's got a little bit of pressure then here today in terms of what he's got to do. And like you mentioned, his own student is in here of Blake McGovern. They currently actually sit together at the bottom, unfortunately, with no lap time set just as of yet. But they should have a lap time coming through shortly.
You see up at the top who your fastest in each class are. Johnson and Pro Team goes to Burns, Holman in the club, and Peter Mackay so far in VIP. I say so far because Dan Clark is going to come across the line now, and he will get his flyer underway in that number 50. We'll see what he can do. 24,404. And ladies and gentlemen, that was, 22,466. That was on the warm-up lap, no less. No, that was the warm-up lap, 22,466. So he's flying there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a 22.4 on warm-up, the tires are still trying to get a little bit of the energy back into them, trying to get a little bit of heat in and out there by the tire rim, and obviously also just trying to build up that driver confidence. The brakes will have also still been cold coming out of pit lane, and so now only starting on this lap, you'll have slightly warmer brakes that actually do what they want, what he wants them to do. We have a little bit of a spinner, and unfortunately, Clark's followed in the same pattern there, just on the exit as they round onto that back straight.
Not sure who that was is with a spin, but you see John Song Unser coming past right now. I'm not sure who that is right there. That was a little hard to see, but nonetheless. So that lap, you can basically just throw that lap away as Mackay flashing the lights at Dan Clark, and Clark basically scrubbing his tires there. Marine gets a slowdown penalty heading into pit road. So he'll have to most likely serve that when he comes back out. But Peter Mackay, he's on a flyer. Let's see what he can do in the number 935 Martini liveried Porsche, coming around turn number 10B, down through the right-hander, going onto the main straight. Fastest lap so far, 18.990. Does he improve his time? He does not. 18.990. Castillo goes up to an 18.713. So that's good enough for fifth fastest overall, but still second fastest in the club class because no one is touching Holman so far.
Yeah, I'm hoping to see a little bit more, maybe a little bit more luck this week around for Mackay. We remember last week at Road America, he did get quite stuck in with the club and team members. And I think he had quite an unfortunate race the last time around. I don't think he ended where he exactly expected to. I know he had a couple of bumps and bashes with a couple of the other drivers. So I'm hoping that, especially with this class being extended by another member, hopefully there's a little bit more reason to try and push on strong and chase down on Marine for the current lead for that VIP class. But to be honest, only time is going to tell. We've got about 7 minutes left of this qualifying session. Most of the drivers do still have a couple of laps in them to keep on going here. We have Ted Burns currently sitting second, obviously first in his division. And he's in that team division trying to further extend his possible lead to the likes of Chris Bowman in fourth position. And only about 4/10 now behind the likes of Johnson.
You know, it's funny. I texted Ryan Marine earlier today when I found out Dan Clark was in the VIP class. I go, well, you've got a challenge for you. He laughed. He goes, yeah, Peter and I are going to be fighting for second. So it'll be interesting. And there he goes. Dan Clark up to the top, 18.883. That's fastest right now in VIP. We'll see how long that lasts. I have a feeling that he's just going to get faster and faster each and every lap. Ted Burns, we're watching that number beautifully colored, 91, second quickest down the downhill of turn number 11, coming through to complete yet another lap with just shy of 6 minutes to go. What's his time? It is an 18.386, so not fast enough to close down his time. He's 0.4 of a second behind Johnson's fastest time of a 17.876. I wonder if Johnson's just going to say, you know what, we're done. That's good enough lap. And if I'm on the front row, great. If I'm not, great, because I'll be able to catch up to everybody else.
I think he's got quite a bit of confidence built up here for this qualifying session. He's the only driver currently lapping in the sub 18s around the track. So I think he has got a little bit of that leeway confidence where he can, kind of pack things away, relax a little bit, and prepare his mindset for that 1 hour race coming after this. So I think he probably would be done with this, even if he does get overtaken by Ted Burns. We do know Johnson and his skills. He probably will make that position change, within the first couple of laps. But for the time being, he still does sit dominantly in that lead. There comes Dan Clark for yet another improvement. That's a 118.5. So he now moves ahead of Fleerman and almost 4/10 or so ahead of the likes of Peter McKay, who's the other driver in that VIP class. Ryan Marine looks like he's struggling a bit though, Jeremy.
Yeah, a little surprise there. The Marine is struggling. 19.266. I just saw somebody else pop up. Castillo up to an 18.558. So he moves up spot. You're on board with the venerable commentator and comes across the line. Let's see what he can do. 19.265 was his fastest, and 20.623. So a little bit of an off there. A little bit of a issue there. No harm, no foul. He goes around for yet another lap. We'll see if he can improve on that and close in on Clark's time of an 18.585. Again, that is your fastest in the VIP class. Let's see who's on. That is going to be Caden Kelly with a 20.069. Let's see what Joseph Holman does as he comes across the line this time by 19.027. So I think, Tristan, for a lot of these cars who are out here now, I think the Michelins have kind of evened off, and Ted Burns actually coming down the back straightaway, but I think a lot of the times have evened off, except if you're Dan Clark, 18.485. All you can do is just laugh, and yeah, Mackay and Marine are going to be fighting for second.
Yeah, I think he's just going to continue to chip away at the block for the rest of this qualifying session. The amount, as many laps as he can do, you're going to just continue to see improvement after improvement as he starts to find more grip around the track, a little bit more comfort. Obviously, he only started his qualifying laps a good 10 or so minutes after everybody else had already been accustomed to the track. So the track was already slightly evolved, and it's still going to evolve slightly more for the next 4 minutes with the cars going around. So we might see maybe one more lap time coming out of Dan Clark. I'm not too sure. He is currently out on another lap, stuck behind. That is indeed the likes of Peter McKay. So the driver who's chasing him down is currently, towing him down that back straight. So possibly a little bit more of a top speed here for the likes of Dan Clark, and we could see some form of improvement. Obviously, we'll only be able to tell when we come down to that line. Aaron Johnson also, again, he's out trying to set yet another fastest lap. Not too sure why, because I think he is sitting quite comfortably up in first position. But here we have Mr. Clark coming down into that final turn 11 downhill. And is it going to be an improvement? It is green on the middle two sectors, and looks like he's going to improve yet again. What's the improvement like? He moves up to third overall with a 118.2.
Okay, I'm calling it now. I would not be surprised if Dan Clark gives it to John Song here. Don't forget, you can always hit us up on the YouTube chat. We're here and keeping an eye on things. But Dan Clark's out again for another flyer as Marine sitting in 12th, only hitting yellow on his marks. 17.875 is, of course, the fastest time. Does not improve. He runs a 19.481. He's going to give it one more go. And no, he's not. He's a couple wheels off. That's going to ruin his time. There is Jacob Harder. That's a nice livery there. And Jacob, he's on the graphics team. So really, Tristan, no surprise that the graphics guy would have a great graphics package. I know that he's helped with a lot of the drivers in the field for their liveries.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely see he's also mastered his own craft there in terms of his own livery. I mean, just look at that. I feel like it's got quite a bit of a Mercedes resemblance. If you remember some of the older Mercedes cars with that silver, I'm referring to the F1 cars, the silver front, and then it obviously fades to that black towards the rear. He's just got a couple of nice decals and a couple of nice symbols on the left and right hand side. He's got a couple of those red veiny style lines around the headlights and stuff. And to be honest, it really does look like quite an aggressive car. We always talk about it, about what what kind of intimidation level you create in the rear view mirror. And that's kind of the power of a livery, is that if you can create that intimidation factor, you can possibly force the competitor ahead into some form of error. And I mean, looking at that car, I mean, Jeremy, if you had to see that Porsche 992 in your rearview mirror, I think there'd be some form of intimidation created.
Oh yeah, indeed. Oh, is that who? It's harder trying to sit there and get some sort of draft. I think that's Cameron Cool right there. Cool, yeah, right. Yeah, it is. The 19 coming down the back straightaway. They'll get one more flyer as they come down that final corner and set themselves up for the straightaway. They'll get, 15 seconds. They've got just enough time. So a handful of drivers out there trying to set their fastest laps. Mackay, Leonard, Castillo, McGovern, Clark, and Burns all decided that their best time is absolutely done. And that is it for the session. So once again, Aaron Jansong, your fastest overall, and we'll have the grid here in just a little bit. But first, we've got a little bit of a warm-up. It's a 3-minute warm-up. So let's take some time and go over what this beautiful facility in Brazelton, Georgia looks like from overhead. You saw it from the track side. Now let's give you a little bit of a picture so you can kind of know what we're talking about. You have a short front straightaway, and most of this track has been virtually unchanged over the years, just that 10A10B complex back, sometime in the 90s. And now you talked about turn 12. You come downhill after right-hander, then you set yourself up, couple clicks down, and you take that right-hander going uphill through turn 1. Then you start to set yourself up for the S's. Here's turn 2, turn 3, and now into turn 4. You got 4A and 4B, and that leads you on to one of the more challenging corners on this circuit. It's turn 5, because you are setting yourself, you're basically, when you set yourself up, your car's just a little bit wiggly. It wants to go all over the place. And also you got the big rumble strip drivers right that could send you into the wall. We might see a little bit of that. You have a short straightaway all the way over to turn 6 and 7. Once you get off at turn 7, you're basically on the throttle for the entirety of that back straightaway. The turn numbers, they're just a formality. As turns 8 and 9, they're just little kinks headed down towards the big braking zone here at Road Atlanta. And it's the money shot where almost all of the good passes are made, and that is turn 10. Heavy braking zone, the left and the right, turn A, 10B. Used to be you'd go straight through into that bridge right there, but no more. Safety innovations obviously changed that. Once you get through the bridge, you're committed for turns 11 and into 12 and down the straightaway, and that is a lap around the 1.9 mile circuit at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I mean, just looking from the track map, this is going to be a great race here today. It's a map that, or it's a track that really does oppose quite a bit of a balance in terms of car choice. We've obviously got quite a lot of straights to play with here compared to what we saw at Road America. Road Atlanta does offer a little bit more. It's obviously got the mini straight from 12 to 1, but that massive straight from turn 7 down to turn 10 is going to be your primary overtaking spot, especially if you can get a good exit out of turn number 7. And especially through the S's as well, is where you might see a little bit of driver error come through. We have seen it before, especially in multi-class racing, where that turn number 5 outside curbing can start to throw the drivers off a little bit.
And of course, this facility, we met with as short as it is, produces some of the best endurance racing with Petit Le Mans, and it just over the years has been absolutely fantastic. I actually told my wife for my 40th birthday, I want to take all my extreme close friends, get an RV, and sit trackside for that race.
That would be quite a nice birthday, wouldn't it? I mean, it's not even I don't know how many tracks can compare to Road Atlanta. It's a track that's very common in sim racing just because of the enjoyment of this track. It's not the most difficult track to learn, but nor is it also a boring track. It's a very fun track to drive. It does challenge you here and there, but watching a race as well, especially something like the Petit Le Mans, I mean that's going to be quite a thing to watch, Jeremy.
All right, you see the cars gridding up. Let's go through the field as we're taking 18 to start. I'll do the first 9 rows. As we have, I'll do the first 4 rows. Aaron Johnson is your pole sitter alongside Ted Burns, row 2. It's Speedy Dan Clark and Chris Bowman. Row 3, Joseph Holman and Anthony Castillo. And row 4 is Blake McGovern and Carl Lemkool.
Yeah, Maxwell Fleeman will then take 9th position, and Peter McKay will sit alongside him in that 5th row in the 2nd spot of the VIP division. Donny Leonard, 11th position for himself, and Ryan Marine will round off that final 6th row over here. And then just after that, we've got Caden Kelly in 13th, Jacob Harter in 14th, rounding off the 7th row. Lonnie Unser in 15th position, and Erica Hoffman, one of the new drivers, down in 16th position, still trying to find her grips here around Road Atlanta. Cameron Cool, 17th position, and our final driver on the grid here for today's racing is Nathan Warder, 2.8 seconds around about off the pace. So he's going to have to try and keep up with the pack here, otherwise he might start falling off a little bit too early. And we all know how that works out. Falling off quite early on into the race, it does lead to a slightly more unenthusiastic race when the rest of the cars do pull away.
Well, Erica Hoffman looks like she'll be starting this race from the pits. Do want to give a shout out to Johnny Unser. If there's a father who's always been a fan of a certain driver, it's been Lonnie's dad, Johnny. It seems like every race I go to that she's racing, he's always there giving her tips. And you know what? Having Johnny Unser in your ear before a race, that's got to be great. It's better than having him in your ear before a race when he's a race director. So great to see that there. We get just a couple of minutes before we get started on this race. Any thoughts going in?
I feel like, especially with Dan Clark now playing as a variable here, we might see a little bit of a different strategy in terms of that top 3 podium. Obviously, Ted Burns was competing last week with the likes of Aaron Johnson, but we obviously have a third component to play with now, and that's Mr. Dan Clark. Chris Bowman's also a little bit further behind. He's not too far off from that top 3, but I do think that it's not going to be as easy as it was last week for Aaron Johnson. I think he is going to have to play his cards right, especially at the start of the race where the compression is at its highest. And, if he doesn't get that race pull off neatly away, he might start to feel a little bit of pressure from the likes of Burns and Clark from behind.
So let's go ahead and bring up the colors up top. You see next to the position numbers, there's little colors there. You have maroon for pro, which is really red. Black is for team, yellow for VIP, and blue for the club number. Remember last week we had them split up. We're going to try something different here, at least for a portion of the race, and show you the overall position with the leaders in each class up through the top throughout the full entirety of the race. So you can always pull for your favorite driver. Pace car rolling around to 10B, heading into turn 11 under the bridge for the final time. Takes the right into pit road. It's Johnson and Byrne on the front row here at Road Atlanta. Glad to have you with us. 40 minutes of racing begins now. Green flag is out, and Johnson gets a good start. Here comes Dan Clark to the inside of Burns, and now turn 1 awaits for these drivers. Lot different than we saw last week, and Dan Clark gets the advantage over Burns. So far, so good. Everybody, knock on wood, making their way into turn 2.
Yeah, and I mean, we were talking about him being a threat here to Johnson, and he's already moved up into second position just in one corner. And so Johnson's really going to have to watch out here. He did manage to get quite a neat pull-off from that from the pace car pulling in and the green light gantries going off, but it is still an 8/10 gap to Dan Clark, and he's going to slowly start to catch up. He's got the whole train of cars behind, and he does manage to get in there. Oh, there's a huge wreck behind. That's Kelly off on the right-hand side of the track, unfortunately, and losing out a massive amount. Hoffman also, unfortunately, has not come out of the pit lane for some reason, but very unfortunate there for Caden Kelly. We'll probably try and get a replay there to see what happened to the driver.
Well, and that's another thing that I forgot to mention, too, during that track lap. That ridge there coming off of turn 5, that will catch some drivers out, and Caden Kelly was one of the unfortunate ones. Not sure if he was helped at all. Ryan Marine sitting there in third might have copped some damage from that as he tries to go for a position around Harder, and Lottie Unser goes to the side of Marine through 10A as they work their way around. It's still Lonnie, a little bit of a bump there. And here's the funny part about this. Ryan and Lonnie were booth mates a couple of years ago at the Porsche Sprint Challenge. So there's a little bit of history there between the two. I mean, they're great friends, but still, I have a feeling that Lonnie would be giving Ryan some ribbing there.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens there between Unser and Marine as they continue around track. But Dan Clark, unfortunately, has not been able to catch up to Johnson in that first lap. It's now extended to over a 1 second gap, and Burns is right on the backside of Dan Clark, trying to take his position back that he lost going into turn number 1. Bowman's also not lost out whatsoever in his yellow and black Porsche 992, just on the backside of that podium, and we'll have to watch out for him. He's definitely still a key figure here, but he has that Hoffman incident a little bit earlier. that we saw. Caden Kelly, not Hoffman. Hoffman, I don't think has come out of the pit lane as of yet. So we'll have to just see what's going on there. But yes, Caden Kelly, this is coming through the S's up towards that turn number 5 with the huge amount of curbing on the other outside right. And I think it might have just been an error over the curbing. Indeed it was. Loses it over the squabble. And right into the wall it is for Caden Kelly.
Caden Kelly able to get back going once again as Dan Clark, Speedy Dan, again, he can't hold off Aaron Johnson. Johnson opened up a 1.5 second gap, but Burns, he's still all trying to catch in to Dan Clark through there. He is your team leader so far. There's a VIP leader up ahead. And like Ryan said, he and Mackay are battling essentially for second. There's just a Harder who is the meat in that IMSA radio sandwich. Got to give a tip of the cap to Holman as well. As fast as he was at Road Atlanta, he's Road America last week, I should say. He's really proven that he can be just as quick here on the Georgia red clay, as that is the 5th place overall, but your club member leader.
Yeah, and he's going to continue to try and extend that gap. Unfortunately, there is only 2 of them in that club member class. It's himself and Castillo a little bit further behind in 8th position, but he still has all the reason to fight. Thankfully, he's got a bunch of other drivers in different divisions that he still gets to fight for the overall position out on track. So top 5, he's going to definitely want to further extend that. He has Carl Limcall a little bit further behind in 7th. He's currently chasing onto the backside of Blake McGovern, who is the student of Dan Clark. And let's see if all of that training paid off. He's got quite the offense behind. Carl Limcall is quite hungry from the team division, trying to chase down on Bowman and Burns. He currently sits podium for that division, and so he's going to want to make his way up to that podium and possibly try and snatch a couple more spots.
Of course, McGovern giving us a great paint scheme for us to be able to spot. You're looking out of the back as he's trying to hold off Lemcool for position overall. McGovern sitting 2nd in the pro class. You got to go back to Lottie Unser in 14th, who is 3rd in class, and it's Caden Kelly. And Hoffman looks like she did make the start. What's weird about iRacing timing, Tristan, is sometimes when drivers take the pit road start, it really is a little screwy, and it seems like sometimes you got to get the you got to do the manual fix in there. And I don't know about you, but I'm starting to feel a little hungry seeing Nathan Warda back on track.
Yeah, definitely so. And he needs to watch out to not spill oil. We've already got a wing that's off the track, so let's hope there's not more that gets fallen off here due to that. But very unfortunate for Caden Kelly, and I'm quite surprised to see him not coming into that pit box. I mean, he's got an entire rear spoiler missing on the back of that Porsche 992. That's a huge amount of downforce loss. Unless it's a good old iRacing netcode, maybe he can see his rear wing, but I highly doubt it. I think netcode is merely temporarily, and yeah, he has indeed got. Jacob Hart has also gone off, so he's slightly struggling in that Porsche 992 as well.
Yeah, so he's lost 2 spots to Marine and Unser. By the way, I absolutely hate the fact that Jim comes in and says, "Somebody say wings? I haven't had dinner yet, dude. Come on, come on."
Oh, I mean, at least, see, thankfully for me, I'm still in breakfast phase, so the wings don't disturb me just too much yet. Very unfortunate for you, but I think you at least know. I think you at least know, Jeremy, what you're gonna go grab now after this. Maybe some nice buffalo wings. You never know. It could be a nice dinner after watching some of the Kellymoss Club Championship. I think that's quite a deadly combo.
Can I be truthful here? I think buffalo wings, buffalo sauce in general, is overrated, and I am not a fan. Not a fan at all.
Not a fan. Very interesting. Nope.
So
very interesting spectacle.
yeah. Imagine that, an American who doesn't like buffalo sauce. I wish it, because it's smothered all over everything, and it's here's Peter Mackay closing in on Leonard for that 10th spot. Of course, he is in the Champagne of Beers, which Jim knows as well as I do. That means that he's running the high life coming down through turn at number 12, and giving Leonard a chance to open up that gap just a little bit. However, I have a feeling the the battle for second place, now that Marine has dispatched of Jacob Harder, that might heat up. We saw Marine having some issues there during qualifying. He's about 0.2 of a second slower than Mackay last time by. But, Marine, like I said, like we mentioned last week, Marine and his dad used to race together, still do. But the racer in Ryan, I think, is going to catch up to Mackay at some point. He's going to find different lines, and he might try and find a way to tell Lonnie to, you know what, tuck in with me. Let's catch up to the battle for 11th.
Yeah, and I think that would be a good strategy to pull, because obviously if they do catch up, there's quite a couple of drivers up ahead of Mackay that, it's still for further grabbing. But I did see one slight error that Mackay does need to watch out for. It's on that on the pinnacle point there of turn number 11. He is touching, he's done it twice now actually. He's touching that rear left on the grass as he turns down turn 11 towards turn 12. And you've got to be careful with that grass, because if it does snatch on your car, that is one of the quickest ways to completely lose the rear end. And at that speed, you are going to fling sideways down into that barrier towards the left side of turn number 12. So you have to be very cautious about that. It's a very high-speed right-hander, and that grass could be absolutely detrimental to your race. But here's Joseph Holman currently leading that club member class, and he's chasing on the backside of Bowman and Burns for those final podium spots. Burns obviously holding that final podium spot just behind Clark, who's currently run away a little bit from Burns, 1.2 seconds. So he's got a bit of breathing room from the front and backside.
Once again, Johnson just making everyone look a little foolish there, as he's 3.3 seconds ahead of the lead. So I might as well say it now, since the driver hasn't shown up. We were expecting Riley Dickinson. So Riley, if you're watching, what gives, man? Come on. I know you're going to be at Daytona next week. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to find somebody with a sim, or go to Orlando and find something with a sim or something. Get in this race, because I think that you are probably our only hope outside of Luke, obviously, Luke Hartog, to beat Johnson. I'm throwing it down. Come on. CDL hammer shot, no buffalo sauce. Boo. I'm sorry. There are better things in life to eat other than buffalo sauce. And besides, don't even get me started on barbecue sauce. Not every smoked thing needs barbecue sauce. If it's good on its own, it's a good restaurant. There, I'm done. Yeah, enough food talk.
I gotta say to you, I'm with CDL Hammer on that point, and it's funny because I'm the South African, and it's not our primary dish, but it's very commonly eaten. Yeah, I mean the buffalo wings are quite popular, if you have to ask me. But I would definitely do for some wings tonight. I mean, that's still in about 11 hours time, but you've really put it on my mind now. Thanks, guys, I appreciate it. But still back on track, Holman's chasing onto the backside of Bowman, and this fight is going to continue. We've now about to finish that first quarter of this race, about 10 minutes. Lonnie Ansa, a little bit further behind in 13th, still trying to chase on with Marine. Let's see if she can hang on to that tug. That is a deadly angle.
Yeah, that's one of the dangers of racing the Petit Le Mans, is that sun angle. And Tristan, I've got to say this, buddy, sharing is caring. Unser has lost just a little bit of distance between her and Marine, I should say. But Lonnie, so what? I've had the opportunity over the past couple of seasons to watch Lonnie's rise. And as I mentioned, she's got her dad in her corner. She's leaned on her uncle, who, by the way, Little Al also has experience racing and winning in Porsches. So, you've got that right there as well. Lonnie came up through the inside as Marine slides a little bit through 10A, now 10B. They're side by side. Unser gets a nose out front, and she's going to come around, shut the door, and get a good gap between her and Marine for position. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a smooth transition. But back to what we were saying, she's done Spec Miata, so she knows how to keep momentum in the car. She's got great teammates who are racing now and who will be racing a little bit later on. She's got great coaches in Kellymoss. So she's got a great support system. And, she's podiumed consistently. She's a race winner in the Porsche Sprint Challenge, Cayman Pro Class. So there's a lot going on for her. And she is one, I think, that when it will click, she will be a very fast driver in any sports car series. I would not be surprised to see her on the grid in the Rolex 24 within the next couple of years. A little bit of a wiggle out of Unser coming off of turn number 7. That's giving Marine a chance to pounce.
Yeah, and I got to say, I mean, even just starting off a career with the MX-5s, talking about real life and virtual, if you start on the iRacing platform, you get the MX-5 as a rookie car. We'll talk about that in a moment. Just want to see if Ryan makes a move. He doesn't. He does back off there from the backside of Unser. But even if you do start iRacing as a rookie, it's one of the free cars you get, and it pairs with the free track as well. And I mean, I got to say, it is such a great car to get started in a sim. It's such a good car to learn in terms of, fundamentals of keeping momentum, like you say. And I feel like that's also just given Unser that boost to just continue striving. And now on the Porsches, obviously, and just got past the likes of Marine, and doesn't look like she's going to stop just as of yet. 5.9 seconds to McKay. Let's hope she can catch up to that. But looks like Caden Kelly is just not having a day here, unfortunately. The rear wing is still 100% lying somewhere on the track, maybe paired with Waters' car of the Burger. But coming around and, without that rear
Yep.
downforce coming into turn 10, there is nothing you can do to control that car.
Well, let's see what he does. And gets off course to he has a 2x from the spin, 1x from going off course. And really at this point, Caden should probably come in. But here's the thing. You got to think about how long is that repair time going to be for that rear wing. It's not cut and dry. This battle for third, though, I've absolutely loved seeing Bowman, Burns, and Holman come across one another. Of course, it's also mixed in the battle for the team championship. And this is for the drivers who are a part of the Kellymoss team. You've got Bowman, who... this is actually his first race as well. He's an engineer. He was an engineer in the 91 Porsche in the WeatherTech GTD class. He's going to be doing the SRO GT4 cars next year, this season, I should say, in SRO America. So he knows a thing or two about setting up a car. Looks like he knows a thing or two also about getting around a racetrack pretty quick.
Yeah, so he'll then be pairing this year coming up with the likes of Erica Hoffman. She'll be racing in the SRO GT4. So they'll be somewhere on site together, as they are currently in this Kellymoss KLÜB Championship, and currently sitting in third. I don't think he's having the easiest of times right now, because Burns is not making this easy on him whatsoever. He's got to continue to try and push on strong in his yellow and black Porsche 992, and he's obviously got that threat from behind. And just behind them as well is yet another driver, which I've trying to see the car number now. That's 94, and so that's still going to be quite a strong push. That's Holman a bit further behind, who's currently leading that club member championship. And we'll have to see. There might be a bit of change up between these three as it comes through the next couple of corners. The track will also start to evolve. It looks like it's gotten slightly darker. I'm not too sure where the sun's gone. Maybe the clouds popped over, or it's gone underneath the hill somewhere. But so far, it's looking slightly darker around here.
Yeah, I'm not too worried. There's your conditions. It's quite breezy at 24, 23 kilometers an hour. Ambient temperature 22 Celsius, not too far away on the track temperature at 23 Celsius at this time. So for those of you Americans, it's a little bit of a wiggle there by Ted Burns. He gets the wheel off course at turn 5, and that leads to spicy consequences. He's lucky he didn't lose it there, because that usually ends up in tears. And not too far away, you see the glint of that number 50 Dan Clark as well, holding station almost 5 seconds behind Aaron Johnson. All you can do is laugh at this point.
Yeah, all you can do is really just laugh. I mean, he had a little bit of a chance, I think, at the start of the race when that gap was still well under a second long. But, I mean, Johnson already created a 7/10 gap just by his pace car pull-off. And I think he's just continued to, expand that further. It's now a 5-second gap between himself and Clark. And so he's got quite a lot of freedom. I think more freedom than last week. Last week he was... repping around about a 3-second or so lead, and now it's further extended even more. Joseph Holman looking all over the backside of that number 81, trying to make his way around, and that's Ted Burns that he is trying ever so hard to make his way, and then he'll try and chase down further on Chris Bowman up ahead. So we'll have to keep our eyes on what's going to go on with this pack. This is obviously our main fight around track right now. You can see in your track map in the top right, it is slightly segregated around track. We've got a couple of no man's land zones, which I like to refer to. You can see it there on the back straight, and also the first corner coming through the S's. It is also quite quiet around there. Somebody who's done broadcasts recently, I love the advent of
the follow the dots, as we all call them in the booth. You follow the dots around the race circuit. I actually used to use that a lot when I did Radical Cup North America. We would be we're paired with IndyCar, so we would use the same equipment as IndyCar. Well, we wouldn't have to follow the dots on the broadcast. I could look up and say, okay, well, we're watching this battle, and thankfully our director for that broadcast was, two people down from me, so I could just literally say, all right, let's check on this battle, let's check on that battle. So follow the dots is really fun, really easy. You're seeing this battle for a 10th still between Leonard and Mackay. Mackay is your second place driver, and Leonard is out. I think either he had a blinky, he had a disconnect problem. He now goes off course, and that's one of the downfalls of online racing is just having that disconnect. Of course, they'll give Unser and Marine a chance to leapfrog. So now Unser, 5.7 seconds behind Mackay. So at least this time she has a target in some corners to try and chase.
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, sitting in 11th position, and obviously in class sitting third right now, actually, which is quite an impressive feat for Lonnie Unser. And that's just going to pull the motivation to continue pushing even more. Here's Erica Hoffman, as she's now pushing on the inside of the likes of Cool and Cameron Cool, unfortunately losing out there. And Hoffman trying to chase down. Obviously, she started from the pit lane. It looked like she wasn't coming out of the pit lane at the beginning, but like Jeremy mentioned, it does get slightly confusing on the live timings tower. It doesn't exactly like to update itself sometimes. So she did indeed start from pit row and really pushing up to 14th position, 2 positions up since the start of this race. And unfortunately for Donnie Leonard, it looks like that network timeout has completely wiped him off of the grid here.
Yeah, Hoffman really looking pretty good so far, up what claim quote unquote 2 spots, but really from pit road we'll call it up 5 spots. Oh, look at Burns all over the back of Bowman for the lead in the team class. He falls back just a little bit into the clutches of Holman as Burns trying to see what he can do. Does he try and hold off Holman, or does he chase down Bowman? Either way, something will have consequences for this team battle here for the top step of the podium. But Bowman, man, I'll tell you what, he's looking pretty good against the likes of Burns. Of course, as you remember, Ted Burns is the data engineer. So you've got the chief engineer and the data engineer going toe-to-toe. I guess there's something to be said about engineers racing.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like, the knowledge that they have around the car definitely translates to how they know how to drive the car, because I mean these guys have been doing an incredible job. Even last week at Road Atlanta, both of them really were having a lot of fun. Well, obviously Bowman wasn't here, but I mean I'm talking about Burns. Lemcol also, he's obviously there, and he's a little bit further down in 7th, currently 3rd in his division. He's just trying to get ahead of McGovern and Holman to try and get back onto the backside of Burns and Bowman to chase down on that podium spot for his division. But these three, I mean, look at that. That's practically equidistant between each other, from the likes of Ted Burns down to Holman, and then Bowman up in front, and everything is rhyming nicely. Yeah? What else can we rhyme with Bowman, Holman? We got to find something to complete this, as now we head down towards the S's, and it looks like they've split up slightly. It's not as compressed as it was a couple of laps ago.
Well, we're past halfway, and the announcer's curse has struck Erica Hoffman. She is listed as out. Not sure if it's because of an incident, if it's because of disconnect. I know that there was one major carrier here in the United States that was having a problem. What was that, Jim? Okay. So yeah, we are. So it looks like it might be another disconnect issue with Erica Hoffman, which is a shame. Like I said, 5 spots up on her debut, and you gotta applaud that. Again, like we said, she's a Porsche Sprint Challenge Cayman Pro winner. She's a podium finisher, and she's another driver to watch, a Canadian coming up and running. Can't wait to see if she runs with us again next week. Here's Carl Lemcol. We didn't mention him too much yet. We mentioned him a lot last week, as he had a lot of great battles as he closes in on Blake McGovern, sitting 2nd right now in the pro class, 6th place overall, and McGovern taking that beautiful SimLab livery into turn number 1, able to open up a gap, but Lemcol a little bit lighter on the brakes through that heavy braking zone.
Yeah, a little bit lighter, as he's now chasing onto the backside of Blake McGovern. 3/10 now. We're going to look to maybe see if we've got something on Erica Hoffman as to what happened to her disappearance. This is Cameron Cool. You can see just up ahead there is Erica Hoffman. I'm not too sure if we'll see anything here. But there we have it. Okay, so that confirms that it was indeed a disconnect from Erica Hoffman, just coming down towards turn number 11. Very unfortunate stuff. I've personally been in the front seat to experience something like that, where you're in a race, you're doing well, you're a couple of positions up, you're slowly improving lap by lap, and all of a sudden you get disconnected or you lose out on the race due to external reasons that aren't your fault. It could be a network issue, a power issue, and it unfortunately does happen a lot in sim racing. It is unfortunately the one downside to it. Fortunately for them, though, they don't have to pay for like a multi-million-dollar car. So that's the one upside to not having a couple of network issues here and there. It doesn't happen to most, but to some it does. And I believe, Jeremy, you were saying there's a carrier in the US that's currently experiencing issues. So I mean
yeah,
that might be the main reason.
It rhymes with Horizon, but, I don't want to say too much other than that. And I've got to say, I'd rather see a car disappear in sim, because if it just automatically disappeared in real life, either one of two things happened. Somebody was on something that they should have been, or the mafia was somehow involved.
Yeah, or aliens. Yeah, I was going to say aliens is possibly, you never know, the invisible UFO just sucked up a Porsche 992. And they're going to go start their own league on Mars. So we'll have to find some coverage for that eventually. They're going to be looking for some broadcasters eventually also in that Porsche 992. Erica Hoffman's been taken. Leonard's been taken. I hope no one else gets taken to go start a league on another planet. That would be quite chaotic. But here's Ryan Marine. He's actually he was getting closer to Lonnie Anser, but he's now 1.2 seconds away.
Yeah, I got to talk to Ryan and tell him he's got to get a new paint scheme. That all black wall, yeah, it plays great. I can't play the Darth Vader music. I'll give him grief next time I see him. But yeah, Marine with a wheel off in the exit of turn 5, and that kind of limits our battle to this one we've been watching all race long between Bowman, Burns, and Holman. Now, even though we're past halfway, anything can happen. Somebody could, take a wheel off, take a spin, and get involved in another battle. But this has been absolutely fantastic to see little by little what these drivers can do. Let's run down your top 5 real quick. Aaron Johnson, your pro leader overall as well, 6.5 seconds, and he goes to lap the burger. Wow, come on, Aaron. All right, anyway, Dan Clark sits in second, your VIP leader, in his number 50, and yeah, that just is reminiscent of his iconic helmet. Sitting in third, your team leader. We can actually show these 3 cars right now. That's Chris Bowman, and not too far behind him is second place Tom Burns. In fourth place, Holman with a little bit of a wheel off there off turn number 7. And Holman, he is your club leader in 5th place. So top 5 hold all 4 leaders. But look at this. Pop out by Burns. They're side by side going into turn 10A, and they're rubbing against each other. Right now it's Burns with the lead. Does the whole Bowman give the advantage? A little bit of a sideways hump, and it's going to go to the way of Burns. But how long will that stay? And basically, what will the stewards have to say about that?
Yeah, I was going to refer to this three-way fight very much a concertina effect, and unfortunately, if you do know the concertina instrument, it can only de-air itself to a certain point. It cannot just automatically disappear, and so unfortunately for these drivers, they reached that end, and side-by-side racing they went, and I could just see that through turn number 10. They were very close, and you really could see that Bowman did not want to sacrifice that at all, and unfortunately for not wanting to sacrifice losing 1 position, he ends up losing 2 positions on the outside of turn number 10. So here it is. You can see Ted Burns getting very close to Bowman, and eventually he does decide to pull out back, and just a little bit further behind, you can see the leader of the club of Joseph Holman. He's trying to get that slip. He does give them a little bit of space in case something goes wrong, and there you can see Ted Burns holding the inside line, and Ted absolutely held the complete inside of the track. He did not branch out whatsoever, and so that was unfortunately a slight error there from Bowman, trying to cut in a little bit too hectic where there wasn't any space left for him, and that as a result, 2 positions down. He moves from 3rd position down to 5th, and he also loses a position in division.
Yeah, so we'll see how Bowman reacts to that. Of course, he with these 992s and everybody running, a fixed setup, it is just so tough to come in and try and make a pass for position there, as Marine has finally reeled in Unser once again. Of course, they're too far away to try and catch up to Mackay sitting in 10th place. So basically, unless something happens to Mackay or Clark, Marine's going to have to settle for third, and it's going to be a 1-1 tie in the battle of IMSA radios. Marine doing all he can to look to the inside of Unser, still too far away to make anything happen. And I'm wondering if those tires may start to be falling off on the number 99.
Yeah, that could possibly be a thing, and it's something we have to watch for. We did see it around about the 30 or so minute mark in last week's race at Road Atlanta. So for that number 99 of Ryan Marine, like we mentioned, he's not getting that close. Oh, and that's just going to do it. Lonnie Unser just getting a bit too outside over that right-hand side curve of turn number 5. That's completely opened the door for Marine, but he is showing good sportsmanship. He's not going to try and take a dangerous dive. He does tuck it out again for the number 99, but if he does get the better run on the back straight over here, he's also going to have the slipstream advantage on Lonnie Unser's backside of her car. Is this going to be a possible overtake coming into turn number 10? We'll have to see how it shapes out to be at the end of the straight. Ryan Marine is quite hungry to try and push back closer towards his rival of Peter McKay in 10th position. And so he needs to get past Lonnie Unser in the next couple of laps, or else he's going to remain here dormant for that last 10 minutes.
Oh, and Ryan's one of the most patient guys that I think you'll meet either in the broadcast booth or behind the wheel. So no surprise that he is not pushing the issue with Unser as they work their way through turn number 12. Very methodical. He'll make his way through at some point, but he doesn't want to make it happen just yet. We'll follow these guys around turn number 5 once again as they go work through 2 and now into 3. I've also got my eye on that timing screen, but I want to see if Unser decides to drop a wheel once again. And that right there has been the difference so far. And I think that's where Ryan is making up his time coming off of turn number 5, and Unser thinking a little bit better of it. Of course, one thing I'm also seeing as well, Tristan, is I'm seeing a lot more gravel being picked up there on the outside of 5.
Yeah, no, and it's not even for Lonnie Unser. We've seen it for quite a couple of drivers. Obviously, the main culprit for the likes of Caden Kelly was indeed the gravel on the outside of that turn number 5, just touching the back right tire, and it's enough to completely unsettle that car. But for the time being, I think there are still going to be a couple more drivers that will unfortunately be kissed by the grace of the gravel on turn number 5. But I'm not calling anything. Commentator's curse is real. We'll go back to the racing for the third spot, currently with Ted Burns and Joseph Holman. I did see last lap that there was a bit of a switch around with Holman and Burns, but I think it was a bit of a courageous dive from Holman because it was a very quick overtake, and then Ted Burns took it right back for third position. So he still currently leads in the number 81 car from the drivers behind. We'll have to see, though, as they are slowly starting to creep a bit closer. Thankfully, Bowman hasn't dropped off after losing those 2 spots. So let's hope he can stay within this fight, and we can possibly have this action all the way down to the line.
I say let's go back to 14th, where Caden Kelly and Cameron Cool are battling for position. I saw Kelly was able to get around there for 14th. This is not in class, but Speedy Dan has gotten around them so they're 1 lap down already, as Cool gonna tuck in line back there with Kelly in turn number 10, and they're both taking defensive lines, which I find kind of odd just a little bit if they're so far away, but nonetheless, Kelly gonna hold station and keep Cool behind him and even open up just a little bit of a gap.
Yeah, I mean, I've really got to hand it, though, to Caden Kelly. He is managing that machine quite well. I mean, the fact that he's already an overtake in a car that's missing both its front downforce and its entire rear downforce with that back spoiler. So he's really doing a good job. And I mean, if you've ever done it in a sim, trying to race a car with this heavy amount of damage, you'll know it is a completely different driving experience. You cannot pull anything from practice, as we see Cool dipping a tire there into the grass, but you literally cannot pull anything from practice in terms of how the car normally is. It is a completely different feeling car now. It doesn't want to turn. It's got massive understeer, and also if you do try and over-rotate the car, well, it's going to chuck you into a bit of a donut with that rear spoiler missing. But back up to Lonnie Unser. She's going to start to feel the pressure. Ryan Marine a little bit further, is a lot closer behind now. That we've seen on previous laps. Possibly a bit of driver error from Lonnie Unser compared to what Ryan Marine is doing. And he might be able to make an overtake in the next couple of laps.
Looking forward to the recap from Lonnie Unser on our Instagram page. Let's see if she does one. I have a feeling that she will. We're watching McGovern trying to hold off Lemkool. Let's see if Lemkool decides to go for the dive on the inside of turn 10A. He does indeed, as McGovern gonna shut the front door on him so far. Actually still has a foot out there, the Lemkool has, as they go side by side through 11, now into 12. McGovern has that nose up front. Now he shuts the front door on the front straightaway. A fantastic pass by McGovern. I want to go back to Caden Kelly, though. As you were talking, I noticed something interesting. He's not only missing his rear wing, he's also missing his front nose clip. So he's getting a whole bunch of gray air into that radiator, but he's losing a bunch of aerodynamics heading into the long straightaways.
Yeah, it's exactly what I was talking about earlier. I mean, the entire front downforce of the car and the rear is completely missing. So that thing doesn't drive like a normal Porsche. Funny enough, if you kind of squint your eyes while looking at it, it actually looks like a road car. You know, it doesn't look like it's got any of its fancy features. It's just a purple Porsche, which I don't think is very common. Definitely not in my country. I don't know about in America. Somebody's off that. That's cool back in the background, coming onto the back straight around the hairpin style U-turn almost. And very unfortunate there for the number 15. I'm not gonna lie to you, Jeremy. I think Cool has really struggled a bit this race. He's obviously lost out to Kelly, and not even lost out. He's now 7 seconds behind Kelly. So. Yeah, I think he's got maybe a little bit mint. His eyes are starting to burn up a bit. He can't he can't see straight anymore. But it's very unfortunate for the driver.
Joe Holman closing in on Ted Burns once again. He's got a fan club here, the Chicken Caffeine Powering Joe. I gotta figure out if he owns caffeine stock. You know, as somebody who works mornings in Chicago for radio, yeah, we drink a lot of caffeine. But Holman, your club member leader, closing in. Of course, we mentioned last week the sponsors that he has there as well. They're not real. They're just funny sponsors, kind of like, you know, Peniston Oils and Larson's Biscuits.
Yeah, for the rest of the cars, though, a little bit further behind, Lemkool is still just on the backside of that green Porsche. And every single time I look at it, it looks like the Rexy livery, but it's not. It's a bit of like a carbon copy with the color scheme. But Lemkool, he could possibly have an opportunity here. He was side by side at the end of this back straight a couple of laps prior. Let's see if he can do it again. He is a little bit further away now. You can see on the left-hand side on the light timings tower that time is coming down gradually because of the slipstream advantage, and almost now breaking under 2/10. He is still too far away, though, to make an aggressive lunge unless he wants to pull a Mazepin. Nope, he looks like he's going to stick his nose right back where it normally belongs, and behind the likes of McGovern. So we'll see how that goes on. But I believe we've actually got something. So we spoke about it last week, Jeremy. We were mentioning a couple of deliveries around track, and I believe the owners of the Kellymoss Club Championship have actually decided to incorporate an entire livery, like a livery contest in terms of which livery is going to be the best, which is always an exciting thing for me.
Yeah, and that's something that's still being, you know, the details are still being ironed out. So hopefully we'll have more information next week. But yeah, it sounds like a fun little contest that Kellymoss is working on it. And, you know, it deals with, you know, the favorite livery. You see that the 88 of Caden Kelly being smart and letting the drivers go. They're fighting for position. That's Lemkool McGovern still knocking on the door of one another for overall position. It has no spin by McGovern as he saves it. Lemkool gonna sit back there as well. That was opportunistic through turn number 7 between Lemkool and McGovern. And one thing, Tristan, that these drivers are doing, they're really getting elbows out.
Yeah, they seriously are getting elbows out. And you can see there from behind, Caden Kelly will have a slight bit of speed boost without all that downforce slowing his car down and sticking it to the floor. And so he's actually able to keep with them on the back straight. He's going to lose them in the next couple of corners, unfortunately. But this is probably the most important part of the race. 5 minutes left of racing. It's side by side almost again there for Carl Lemkool. He's looking for every possible opportunity to get alongside McGovern and possibly into the next couple of corners, maybe through the sequence of turn 5 up towards that back straight. We might see something coming for the number 95 Porsche. But this battle is not over whatsoever. And we've got about 4 minutes left of racing here. This is the time to shine now for Carl Lemkool. It's one position up overall. It's not going to affect his division at all, but still, that one position on track is going to build a bit of confidence to keep on pushing for the rest of the season. And both of them carbon copy through that turn number 5. Absolutely no gravel grabbed at all. But coming through onto that back straight, could we possibly see Lemkool getting a better exit?
He probably could right now as Lemkool closes in through turn number 7 and a little less opportunistic than he was earlier on. Of course, we're just shy of 4 minutes left to go in this race. It's amazing how fast this has really closed in because once again, we have more and more battles, harder with the slowdown penalty, but there's Aaron Johnson, 9.1 seconds ahead of Dan Clark.
Yeah, I mean, and what a monumental lead as well. I think just demonstrating the skill level of Johnson, and we saw it's repeated from last week. Last week he had the same bit of field day out at Road America, and now he's doing it at Road Atlanta as well. But there is still the fight progressively building on. Yeah, it's Ted Burns versus Holman. And Ted Burns and Lemkool rocking a very similar livery. I think it might actually be the same livery, if I'm not mistaken. We'll probably have a bit of a flashback. I need to maybe try and confirm that. It looks a little bit too similar for my liking. That's Ted Burns there. So he's got the blue, then it's the pink fade, and then it goes to yellow on the rear. And then we go to Carl Lemkool. Indeed, I'm pretty sure that is the same livery, if you have to ask me. It's the blue, it's got the pink fade, and then the yellow on the rear. So, and it's also got the same sponsor on the side. So, yep, it is the same car. So probably the same team coming from the two of them in the team championship. But 3.5 tenths. Holman chasing onto the backside of 10 Birds. He's only got 2 minutes left to go to try and make this overtake stick. Can he do it, or is he going to remain dormant and at bay behind Burns?
Still nose to tail going into turn number 10. Holman going to close in. He's not going to make anything happen just yet. Still plenty of time left to go for Holman to possibly make something happen with Burns as they work their way through turn number 8. And Holman's going to take a look to the outside of Burns, and Burns is going to shut the door on him once again as they come across the line. It's going to be it's going to white flag next time by for John Song as they're bobbing and weaving there for position. Burns takes the defensive line through turn number 1 and now into 2, setting up for turn number 3. Burns and Holman. These two have been locked horns all race long as they work their way through the S's. Burns opens up just a little bit better gap.
Yeah, let's hope he can keep that. Obviously, that 4/10 gap with about, and like you just called, it's final lap for Johnson. I don't know if it is going to be another lap for Holman and them. There is quite a bit of a distance between, you can see it on the track map. Number 1 is on that track, and number 4 is a little bit further. But let's actually chat about Bowman. He was in that 3-way fight with the drivers up ahead of Burns and Holman. But now, what happened to Bowman a little bit earlier? It looks like he might have had an incident early on in the race that we weren't watching, and the gravel trap did touch him a little bit there. I think in general, though, I think he just did start to slow down. Maybe the tire wear was getting to him after trying to stay ahead of that pack for so long. As he's now 3.8 seconds off the backside of Holman.
Castillo and Fleerman in a battle for 8th place as Johnson has taken the 1 lap to go signal as he works his way around. So we're just about a couple of seconds away from the end of the race. This is an out-of-class battle as well with Fleerman in the team class and Castillo in the club member class. But they are on their final lap as well. Cool gets a solid black flag, so his race is effectively over. Here comes Castillo to the outside. Not going to make it happen on Fleerman. Fleerman able to take the defensive line around 3, 2, 1, and the race will take the checkered flag this time by for Aaron Johnson. He works his way down the back straightaway as he heads into turn 10A for the final time. He had a dominant win at Road America, and I think it was even more dominant this time around as he works his way through turns number 11 and into 12. Checkered flag is out. Aaron Johnson is your winner, 2 in a row. He's made it a clean sweep here in the Kellymoss KLÜB iRacing Championship as still the battle for 3rd overall still heats up. Dan Clark wins his first time out in the VIP class, and it's going to hold station. Ted Burns and Holman are going to be 3rd and 4th and win their classes respectively.
Yeah, and then further behind that pack of Bowman, he's also just come across the line. McGovern and Lemkool, who we saw fighting quite aggressively. Lemkool did fall off about 1.7 seconds behind and finishes in 7th. Fleerman's going to come across the line just ahead of Castillo, who was looking to make a dive in that next coming laps. He did try, and it didn't stick. Peter McCabe will come across in 10th, 2nd in his division, and there's Lonnie Unser after managing to keep Ryan Marine at bay, 1.5 seconds of a gap to Ryan Marine at the end of the race. And what a great entry into the series. Ryan Marine down in 12th. And there we have Jacob Harder, still arguably one of the best liveries out on track. It's between that and Waters' livery of the Burger, I gotta say. If he could maybe just make his oil spills like red, like a tomato style sauce, that would be great. McKay's Martini livery is also up there, but that is officially race over.
Yeah, everybody has taken the checkered flag, and we'll wait and see how the who decides to all come on. And man, I'll tell you what, that was an absolutely fantastic race. Aaron Johnson, as we mentioned, your winner. Dan Clark, your winner in VIP. Ted Burns, your winner in team, and that's Joseph Holman, your winner in club. So all 4 winners in the top 4 spots. Then it's Chris Bowman, Blake McGovern, Carl Lemkool, Maxwell Flierman, and Anthony Castillo rounding out your top 9.
Yeah, from top 9, we've then got Peter McKay 10th. Lonnie Unser will take 11th with Ryan Marine just behind in 12th. Jacob Harder 13th with Caden Kelly after limping that damaged car all the way to the line, finishes in 14th position. Nathan Water, the Burger Man, in 15th position. Cameron Cool 16th. Unfortunately, after getting that black flag at the end, his race was basically over. Donnie Leonard and Erica Hoffman, unfortunately, the 2 drivers who didn't finish this race, 18 laps down due to disconnect issues. But that is officially the race over for round number 2 of the Kellymoss KLÜB iRacing Championship.
So drivers coming into the pits, and we will see who wants. Let's take a look at the points real quick as we see them right now. And no, we've been having some technical difficulties with our points. So nonetheless, we'll get you those a little bit later on. And yeah, once again, we're just having some issues with our system. That's technology. As you see, Aaron Johnson still your overall points leader. But man, what a fantastic race we've seen the past couple of nights. We've seen it at Road America and now Road Atlanta.
Indeed, we did. And it looks like we've got a couple of drivers who are ready for some interviews. And I think,
Oh, there we go.
yeah, Jeremy, if you don't mind, I'm going to take on our first interviewee. I'm going to pull in Mr. Ted Burns, our winner of our team championship. Ted, you're live on Apex Racing TV after that round at Road Atlanta. Talk us through that race. How was the car feeling?
The car was feeling great as the fuel was burning off. It just kept getting better and better, and it was a lot of fun out there to race today. It was super competitive, really close, and it was an awesome battle throughout.
Yeah, talk us through that 3-way battle that basically took up most of your race here today between Holman and Bowman.
Yeah, Holman and Bowman. I mean, I was just trying to keep it consistent, and I mean, no excuses. But in the VR, the sun kept going behind the clouds, and it was changing all the shadows, and it kept messing up with my reference point. So I made a couple mistakes into turn 1, and Bowman was able to take advantage of that and get out in front. And but I could tell he started either falling off, getting a little nervous, or something a little bit later. And so I just made sure I stayed close and waited for a mistake. And he had a bad run out onto the back straight, and it gave me a good run. So I was able to get a little bit of a tow alongside. Tried to do a little bit of a side draft coming through 9 there, and I was able to get the move done. And then it was just playing defense against Joseph. He brought a hell of a charge later there in the race, and yeah, it was the same thing. Just trying to stay consistent and keep in front of him, because I definitely wasn't running away from him. Those guys put up a great fight today.
And lap one, turn one. What? Obviously, you lost out there to Dan Clark right at the entrance. What happened there?
Yeah, I was coming down the hill. I was looking over through the A pillar, trying to find Aaron, and kind of missed the jump. And this is always something we talk about in the real series here. That starting second place in Atlanta is one of the worst spots you can be. You want to be first or third. So I knew I was at a little bit of a disadvantage. And that whole right line, they just got a great jump. So Dan was able to drive around me and make it stick through turn 1. I mean, Dan's a great driver, former IndyCar driver, so I'm not too disappointed to come up a little bit shy of him.
Incredible stuff. And I mean, before you head out the commentary box, is there anybody you'd like to thank or anybody you'd like to mention?
Yeah, I got to thank Victoria again for putting on this series. It's a lot of fun. It's great to bring in all these people in here from all sorts of different parts of the racing world and getting us all on track at the same time. And that's just a lot of fun and great camaraderie, something to do in the off season. Got to thank you guys at Apex for putting on a great broadcast. Love watching it back. So thanks to you guys.
Absolutely incredible stuff. I will see you next week time around at Watkins Glen for the boot configuration. Have a great day further.
Thanks, you too.
All right, and that was Mr. Ted Burns.
And I will grab our VIP winner, the one, the only, Dan Clark. Well, Dan, good to talk to you again. How you been? It's been a while.
Yeah, how you doing, Jeremy?
I'm doing great. Well, I mean, no surprise, you decided to show up at qualifying and put on a fast lap for VIP, so it had to feel good, at least shaking off a little bit of the rust.
Yeah, yeah, I must have got my times mixed up because I made the practice session just fine yesterday, and then I texted Blake McGovern that I was just hopping on the sim, and he said, "Yeah, that qualifying just started."
Well, either way, you went out there, and we thought that you would be probably one of the few drivers who would catch up to Aaron Johnson, but his talent just shows how good he is. Either way, you were able to get around, Burns, Hoffman, Holman, Bowman, and really open up a big gap early on. What was the tire model like? How did it feel getting out there and running up front?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I thought I was going to be clever in the beginning once I was lucky enough to get ahead of Ted, because quite often at the racetrack, I'm under the Kellymoss awning, working alongside Ted. So at the beginning, I considered him my main competition. I texted him, "Where are you hiding? Get on Discord," so I could try and taunt him before the start. I thought I would be clever, and maybe when he was behind me at the beginning, I would like him to eat some of my aero wash for a while. And then he dropped back a bit, and then he started doing fast laps, and I thought, "Oh God, I don't have a strategy. He has a strategy."
If this is the first time you've heard Dan Clark talk, ladies and gentlemen, this is quite mild to say the least. But nonetheless, a great race, second place. You going to be here next week? You're going to be down in Daytona?
I don't. I might be delivering a simulator. That's kind of what I do now here at home. I've been building simulators for drivers and hobbyists for about 8 years now, and it's always been a side gig growing into a more full-time gig right now. So I might be en route to Dallas, but hopefully I can make it work because I need to get on iRacing more often. I build sims, and the more I build, the less time I seem to have to drive. So this felt really good to have an excuse to get on. And yesterday I did sometimes, and Darren was just beyond reach. So I was I had to go to the chiropractor today. I had to vacuum my sim, had to clean my wheel. All the things that could maybe get me a tenth or two. And the
Yes,
race went way better than I thought it would.
as you say, the glamorous life of a race car driver. Dan, good talking with you. We'll see you next time out.
Thanks, guys.
That was Dan Clark. And Tristan, who do you want to grab for next interview?
I'm gonna grab our club member winner of the year, Mr. Holman, and then you can pick you one after that. But there we go. He's into the commentary box. And Mr. Holman, welcome in to the commentary box. You're live here on Apex Racing TV. How did that race go? And congratulations on the win.
Yeah, thanks. I don't even know where to begin with that one. If I didn't remember how to breathe, I'd be knocked out cold on the side of my rig. How close that battle was with me, Ted, and Chris.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. I think I would have been able to keep up with who was it, P2 Clark, if I had a little bit of a better qualifying session. I just could not put a lap together. But besides that, it was one of the most intense and most fun battles I've ever had on iRacing.
Yeah, I mean, I get the whole breathing thing. It does indeed happen when things get a bit towards a pinnacle point, especially in a race. But talk us through that moment. It was coming into turn number 10. I believe it was between Burns and Bowman. Or it was, I believe it was Burns and Bowman. You were a little bit further behind in that three-way fight, and then they had a bit of an incident through turn number 10. Just talk us through that one.
Yeah, so got right by side with him, and just how the sun was glaring, I kind of lost a little glimpse of the racing line right there. So I thought it would be better to just be a little bit more conservative instead of risking an overtake that for overall would have been good, but I thought a little bit better of it and thought of like, well, I still have a class win going right now, so that was pretty much it. But yeah.
And then next week's time around, we head to Watkins Glen in the Porsche 992s here for Kellymoss, the Kellymoss KLÜB iRacing Championship. How are you feeling for Watkins Glen, and have you driven this car yet on that track?
I haven't driven this car on that track per se, but it is one of my favorite tracks on iRacing and in real life. It's a very high speed, very battle friendly track. I think it's going to bring a lot of good racing, and I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And I mean, before you head out the commentary box here for tonight, is there anybody you'd like to thank or mention?
There's so many people that I could have thanked that have been supporting me throughout. My two friends that have, put their fake sponsors on my car. Can't forget that. Just everyone that really knows that I'm doing this. I'm just thanking them for all the support.
Incredible stuff. Well, I mean, we'll see you next week at Watkins Glen then, and have a good night. And congrats again on the win for the club membership.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, and that was Mr. Holman coming in for the win of club membership.
And last but certainly not least, he definitely wasn't last on the track. Let's bring in our overall and our pro winner, Aaron Johnson. What do we need to do to slow you down? Do we need to put weights in your car? Do we need to give you rain tires to start with? I mean, what is there to slow you down right now?
Well, hopefully nothing. I don't want anything to slow me down.
All right, the next question I've got, I was going to say, how many off tracks did you have tonight compared to last week?
I looked after, it was 14. I think I had 14 last week as well. I'm like pacing myself throughout the race. I'm like, okay, how many can I get and take advantage of to where like I'm close to 20 at the end, but not at risk of getting a drive through. So I think the sweet spot's like 14 to 18 that you want to get. I'll never get zero, so I'm not banking on that bonus point at all. I
was going to say you're a long time MX5 a cup racer, so I'm not surprised that you're dipping a wheel off here and there. That just doesn't shock me at all. All right, next week, Watkins Glen, the boot. Let's preview that, since there's not much to talk about with you winning by 10 seconds.
Yeah, preview. You want me to preview that? I could use some redemption there after my Carrera Cup races there in 2025. That wasn't the highlight of my year. I had a lot of highlights, thankfully, but Watkins Glen was not one of them, so I'm looking for some redemption there.
All right, Aaron, we'll see you next week. Good luck and great race again today.
Hey, thank you, guys. Thank you.
All right, Tristan, that does it for tonight's show. It's been an absolute pleasure once again to call some great racing. Final thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, great racing indeed around here at Road Atlanta. And I cannot wait to see what the drivers are going to do next week at Watkins Glen. It proves to be quite a complicated circuit, especially with that inaugural bus stop chicane, which can get a little bit complicated if you don't tackle it right. So looking forward to what the drivers can do, especially across all four of our divisions.
Well, Aaron Johnson's 2 for 2. Can anybody slow him down? Well, we'll see how the field looks with basically the week before the Rolex. Dan Clark with a great showing. Ted Burns and Joseph Holman also with race wins in class. So for Tristan Herbst and Jim Cunningham, my name's Jeremy Scott. Remember to keep it between the ditches, keep it point forward, and always keep it greasy side down. We'll see you next week here on the Kellymoss YouTube channel.